Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be with you today. I'm Mike Hancock, the Secretary of the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, and I'm very pleased that you've joined us today for an important announcement about our new downtown I-65 bridge located immediately behind us. With us today, we have several dignitaries. You can see the crowd behind me, several legislators and local council people. Also, we have with us Jim Stark, who's from the Indiana Department of Transportation. He's Deputy Commissioner there. And then I also have Mayor Greg Fischer. And we have the Waterfront Development Corporation Chair, David Karam. And then someone also that you all know and love. You've seen him many, many times on the local channels here in town, Andy Barber, my project manager for the Transportation Cabinet. I just heard Andy laugh. But anyway, I do want to immediately get to this. We have someone that's here to make this announcement today, someone who needs no introduction to those of you familiar with this project, someone who has steadfastly believed in the power of this project to propel the Louisville metropolitan area into the future, someone who's kept his eye on the prize and got this bridge done. Please join me in welcoming Governor Steve Beshear.
Thank you very much. We're glad that you could come out on this warm, late November afternoon, and I hope that all of you will be here Saturday morning when we have a walkover on this bridge. That is going to be an exciting time. And I can tell you, because I have been on that bridge, that you can't appreciate the massiveness of this project until you are standing on that bridge. So hopefully all of you will be there. Come out and enjoy that morning with us. You know, over the years, the Ohio River has been the scene of many historic moments. Hundreds of years ago, the Lewis and Clark expedition launched from these banks. During the bone-chilling winter of 1918, I'm told, some brave souls walked across this river, which was frozen at that time. And during the Great Flood of 1937, turbulent waters poured over its banks and raged into our city. But one moment here on the Ohio River changed the trajectory of our nation. And it is illustrated on one of the reliefs here. Because in 1841, a man named Abraham Lincoln and his friend Jonathan Speed traveled by steamboat from Louisville to St. Louis. On that ship were about a dozen slaves shackled together with irons. The image of those slaves affected Lincoln profoundly. And he later wrote that the memory tormented him for years. It strengthened Lincoln's belief that the institution of slavery was an abomination. And as we know, the rest is history. Years later, as president, Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing the nation's slaves and ending a shameful period of Kentucky and America's history. Perhaps no other American is as revered as our 16th president. He led our nation through its bloodiest and greatest crisis, a constitutional, political, and violent upheaval whose agony we can only imagine today. By the end of the American Civil War, Lincoln had preserved the Union. There's no shortage of statues, buildings, towns, and streets commemorating President Lincoln. Some 200 statues and sculptures of Lincoln alone are displayed throughout our country. According to the Smithsonian Institution, nearly one of every 3 memorials of American presidents is of Abraham Lincoln. Today we commemorate him again. I'm proud to announce that the new downtown bridge will be named the Abraham Lincoln Bridge. Now, why should we choose Lincoln yet again? I think the answer is simple. No other Kentuckian has done more for our country. And no other American has done more to bridge seemingly impossible divides than Abraham Lincoln. Naming this bridge in his honor is a fitting tribute to his enduring legacy as a thinker, a moralist, and a leader. And it's further fitting that we honor Lincoln's legacy with a bridge that links Kentucky, where he was born, and Indiana, where he lived as a youth and grew to adulthood. I know there's been a great deal of interest about the naming of the new downtown crossing, and the names of many prominent and accomplished people were suggested, people who have made Kentucky and Indiana proud through their work, their art, their sports, or their teachings. But I chose Lincoln. More than 100 years ago, the Russian writer Leo Tolstoy captured the essence of why Lincoln is revered not just in the United States, but all around the world. He wrote this: Washington was a typical American. Napoleon was a typical Frenchman. But Lincoln was a humanitarian as broad as the world. He was bigger than his country, bigger than all the presidents together. We are still too near his greatness, but after a few centuries more, our posterity will find him considerably bigger than we do. His genius is still too strong and too powerful for the common understanding, just as the sun is too hot when its light beams directly on us. Yes, 150 years after Lincoln's death, we still marvel at Lincoln's genius and we celebrate his legacy. And as Tolstoy predicted, Lincoln remains a larger-than-life figure, even though we know he began as just a poor boy in rural Kentucky and Indiana. This sculpture here at Waterfront Park, sculpted by Louisville's own Ed Hamilton, portrays a younger Lincoln relaxing with a book near the Ohio River. In a sense, Lincoln has been watching this bridge rise from the river since construction began. And now the bridge that bears his name will remain forever under his watch, joining the two states he first called home to the rest of the country that he helped reunite. It's an honor to officially present to you, ladies and gentlemen, the Abraham Lincoln Bridge.